Okay, so let's get right into this. Attorney Walter Hnot, Disability Resolution. You guys know who I am. As you know, I work for a very, very popular disability firm, this one. I've owned it for over 10 years, this one. And the bottom line is I sometimes have some bad news when it comes to Social Security benefits. What's interesting about this letter, which was released on March 4th, and just to be clear, that's today, is that this March 4th, 2024, Dear Colleague letter that was sent out to basically people who are part of the industry, right? The colleagues of the SSA, right? So, if you sign up, you become a colleague of the SSA to go ahead and receive their newsletters, et cetera. But there's mostly attorneys, non-legal reps, et cetera, that are receiving these notifications. Well, they did a revision of the timeframes on the notice for third-party internet disability claims, okay? Third-party internet disability claims. Dear colleague, in the past, the notice sent to claimants when we received disability internet claims submitted by a third party stated that claimants would receive a disability determination within 90 to 120 days. So 90 days is like 30, 30, 30. That's like 3 months, 120, add another 30. That's like 4 months. Cool. So 3 to 4 months. Now, remember back in the day, back in 2017, 2018, I could get a lot of claims through this system in about 3 to 6 months. That was like the reality of it. We had some that went faster. We had some that went slower, but that was like the general roundabout for an initial filing at the lowest level of applying for disability benefits, the first level. Now, the letter goes on. However, due to the backlog of initial disability claims, it has been taking an average of 200 to 230 days for claimants to receive a disability determination. Now, what they're saying here is instead of it taking 90 to 120, like 3 to 4 months, it's taking 200 to 230 days, which if you calculate it is about 6.5 months to essentially 7.5 months. Now, as many of you know who are applying and going through the process, that doesn't make any sense because it's not taking 6.5 to 7.5 months to be approved. It's taking far longer than that. What you have to calculate into this, however, are all of the compassion allowance listing people that are in the hospital on their, near deathbed that are going through. That throws off the statistic. All the people that fall into, the 60 plus category that could potentially be easy push throughs on a grid out, all the easy peasy claims. Now, I don't usually get the easy peasy claims. Most of those are sucked up by the big box firms who spend millions to advertise. I usually get the tough ones. With that said, as a result of that, to clear things up, it's not really taking for the average person applying for disability benefits around 200 to 230 days, which is essentially double what they originally told people it would take. What it's actually taking is around 17 months now for somebody who doesn't get an expedited status, who basically is kind of in your moderate to severe, maybe severe impairments, situation. So that's 517 days is what it's really taking right now about for most of those average individuals that don't have a 404.911 expedited, an I-2-1-40 expedited allowance. So as a result of that, just to kind of clarify things, this letter doesn't really make sense. And it's kind of funny that the SSA would release a letter trying to clarify something that people were noticed of, which is that people originally noticed that it would only take 90 to 120 days to be found disabled or get a decision and not be found disabled, or potentially now, because of the backlog, 200 and 230 days, which is basically, around double that, a little bit more than double. So, it's right around double. But the point is, what's interesting is that this also includes all those technical denial people. So a lot of those people that aren't eligible for SSI and get that quick 1 month boom, letter back, or they're not eligible with enough quarters of coverage for SSDI benefits, and boom, they get that quick response. What's interesting is that, this is very likely including all the technical denials as well. So these numbers, this 200 to 230 is just, it's not realistic. It's not realistic for somebody who has an actual fair shot at being found disabled, who doesn't fall into a category that's more likely than not to be expedited or be found disabled faster. Okay. So again, we're looking at, for most people, instead of it being 16 months, it now seems to be creeping up into around 17 months, around 517 days. Now, some of you will make a political thing out of it. I'm not. Is the SSA in the worst situation it's ever been under President Biden? Yes. Is that President Biden's fault? I hesitate to say that it truly is 100% his fault. There's some of it in there, right, by and through his commissioners, but I hesitate to do that. And here's why. When President Trump was in, he said, okay, I'm not going to touch Social Security benefits, but he put in a very aggressive commissioner who made it tougher for people to be found disabled. Now, something that no one else is talking about on YouTube is that when Commissioner Saul was in via Trump, you had more people constantly reapplying because they kept getting denied from the higher up appeals at Appeals Council when they changed those rules. So what happened was, instead of people going through the process and maybe getting an approval or maybe having some of the, you had a lot of denial. And then you had a lot of attorneys that were like, man, we can't win it now because they changed the rules on how we can appeal. So now we have to do a new initial filing, which created this faster, more aggressive rotation on people reapplying. And when that happened, you started to see that backlog growing. And then boom, COVID hit. And all of a sudden, it's just like this scary, because remember, the rules were changed in 2017, 2020, COVID really took off, right? So we started to see this drastic change of increase of amount of people that are constantly in the rotation. There's another thing that happened too, which isn't on YouTube, which nobody really talks about, which is that more SSDI and SSI, right, Social Security, Disability Insurance, and Supplemental Security Income applicants are smarter about the process now, right? YouTube has educated a significant amount of people about the appeal process, what they should expect, how to build claims, what to do with them. And they know not to just file, get denied, refile, get denied. They know to appeal up. They know, initial filing, reconsideration, ALJ, hearing level, Appeals Council, Federal District, Circuit, and Supreme Court of the United States, right? That's your whole docket, SSA docket, and then federal docket. So they've got that now. So the big thing is now people are being more aggressive with trying to get their benefits by being smarter about the process and analysis that they do to be more likely to get their benefits. So as a result of that, you have more people battling it out that would have given up and tried to go back to work and just done a lesser job. And don't think that the SSA isn't fully aware when you look at some of their statistic analytical stuff as to essentially how many people are likely going back to work, how many people make it through each stage, how long the stages take for different types and different groups of individuals, which individuals with which impairments are more likely to be successfully found disabled. Don't think they haven't worked on, with their actuaries, mapping that out. They've got a very good idea of that. Now, with that said, I don't want the SSA to be put into a negative light with this, because at the end of the day, you have to consider the reality. Their job is to pay out trust fund money to only those they feel and deem are truly disabled. That's their job. And so inherent in that job, right, the culture of winning disability benefits has changed because more and more people are becoming aware of the program, wanting to get the benefits. And to be fair, the system of achievement in America is getting harder, right? And I don't mean in the sense of going back to our great-great-grandparents where it was really tough and you had to work in a mine and you had to do this and you blah, blah, blah. And all these people had to do lumber and, you had to be there with your literal axe. You didn't have a chainsaw and you had to cut down trees and then build cabins. I don't mean in that sense. I mean in the sense of a lot of people nowadays feel like they should just give up. They should just give up, right? Because their student loans are massive, right? Education didn't go great for them. There's no jobs available because the economy is terrible, right? They're giving up. They feel like they can't win. And America has always had one big thing about it. America has always sold one idea above all others. If you work hard, you will achieve the dream of capitalism, free marketplace, whatever it equates to you. You want a helicopter? You can achieve it. You want a yacht? You can achieve it. You want a pony? You can achieve it. You want a unicorn? Maybe later. The point is, right, with all of these, I want it. At the end of the day, America made that promise, and that's what fueled innovation, right? Because how else are you going to get human beings to constantly work towards something? Because at the end of the day, do humans really care about buying shoes with that logo on it? I mean, some do. I don't. I did, but now I don't. So, in order to keep humans moving in that direction, America had to tap into that really deep stuff about how our brains work, right? So, look at for example, a male going through their life. They start out, they're a child, then they get to the point where they want to be a man. Then they get to the point where they want others to view them as a man. This is important because this is right around when most of them get into the military, right? And they know how to tap into that, right? That psyche right there. The US government's like, we need warriors. They want to be men. We offer a becoming a man program, right? That's what the military is. Then you get over here, then you flip it over to here to this next section, right? And the next section is basically, you get to that point where you realize, like, you're a man, but you're not the man you want to be. Then you get to the, I'm starting to become the man I want to be, but it was way too much work. Then you get to the, I'm the man I want to be, but I'm not happy about how much I had to put into it. And, I want people to love me and respect me, and I'm not so concerned about being a tough man. Then you get to the point where you kind of like pull back from the I'm a tough man thing because you have nothing left to prove. You got stripes on your sides, you got stripe on your shoulder, you're good to go. And then you get into you just want to spend time with others, and then you want to spend time with yourself, and then you want to spend time with others, and you kind of go back and forth between that one, right? And of course, there's good food somewhere in between there. The point is, they've mapped it out. They know the process of the human life. They know that around 25% of those in America are disabled, but a much smaller percent, right? So we got 7-ish, 8-ish million on SSI, 7-ish, 8-ish million on SSDI benefits. A much smaller percentage are severe enough to go onto a benefit program because they can't work. Let me go to the next thing here. We understand this may be confusing to claimants and can result in unnecessary calls to our offices to provide better expectations for when a claimant should expect to receive a decision. We've updated the notice to reflect the current time frame of 200 to 230 days. I don't think that this is a good letter. It was done by Don Bistry, I'm not sure, Associate Commissioner, Office of Strategic and Digital Communications. I don't think this was a very accurate post, and I think what they should have done is they should have put like multiple categories of how long it actually takes. So like, people that are likely to receive a technical denial usually takes this much time. People who are likely to receive a medical denial in this age grouping, this age grouping, this age grouping, this age grouping will receive this amount of time. Obviously, I don't know if they want to show that because then they're just going to show, hey, very simply put, people who are older go through faster because they go in a separate bin. But the bottom line is I think this should have been broken down a little bit more categorically, because when somebody expects in 200 to 230 days and they keep borrowing from people and borrowing money and borrowing money and borrowing money and borrowing a place to stay and borrowing somebody's car and borrowing money, they make enemies. They make a lot of enemies relatively quickly as a result of planning their life off of this 200 to 230 days, which is why it's just not fair to the average person who's waiting. Final little thing here. We continue to review and update our notices to ensure they are clear and accurate. This is the first change, with more expected to come. We appreciate your continued support. Sincerely, Don Bistry, Associate Commissioner of Office of Strategic and Digital Communications. You can email her at oea.net.post@ssa.gov. All right, so just to clear up, and I'll read the whole thing one last time so you understand what's going on. The SSA is modifying how long it's likely to take to be found disabled due to the massive backlog. Revision of the timeframes on the notice for third-party internet disability claims, date March 4th, 2024. This is straight from the SSA.gov website, /news/DCL 2024/3-2024-1. Cool. There's your URL. Okay. Dear colleague, in the past, the notice sent to claimants when we received disability internet claims submitted by a third party stated that claimants would receive a disability determination within 90 to 120 days. However, due to the backlog of the initial disability claims, it has been taking an average of 200 to 230 days, basically 6.5 to 7.5 months, for claimants to receive a disability determination. We understand this may be confusing to claimants and can result in unnecessary calls to our offices. To provide better expectations for when a claimant should expect to receive a decision, we have updated the notice to reflect the current time frame of 200 to 230 days. We continue to review and update our notices to ensure they are clear and accurate. This is the first change, with more expected to come. Now, real quick, I just saw another notice. I saw a $2 donation from Kevin, which is absolutely amazing. I really appreciate that. Kevin said, did you research Cali drug test for SSI, SSDI? No, Kevin, I didn't. I worked all day, and then I have a hearing tomorrow morning that I had to prep and kind of get the stuff together for. But I worked all day. I've got to work tomorrow on the hearing. I have a VA thing, and then I have a couple of other smaller little things I've got to work on. And I have one of those $250 private hours. I did it, but that is on my list. And I have a short little, you know how they make sticky notes where it's like a sticky pad that's like, I don't know if it's that big. It's like that big. You know what I mean? It's like this tall, but a little bit wider. So basically, like the sticky pads, right? I have like a mini short list of videos I absolutely want to check out and I absolutely want to do. That, Kevin, is on that sticky list. So absolutely. Another thing, Kathy has faith. Thank you for the $19.99 donation. I really appreciate that. Let me see what it says. I got a notice to give any updates or paperwork I had to support my claim. Is this good news? I now have a case manager. So what that means, just so you know, is that let me answer Kathy's question real quick. So basically, when you initially file, right? So it's like, here's your start line, right? And boop, here's your start. And you go from the local field office. They have your forms, right? Now they're sending them over to DDS. You go into the developmental unit. The developmental unit holds on to it for a while and a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And then finally it reaches what's called basically your DDS rep assignment. That's where they give you a specific rep that's assigned to you. At this point, Kathy, this is you right here. They want you to submit any new medical updates, any new evidence you might have, etc., things like that. Because at this point, this means that you've reached essentially somebody that's going to be working with you at the SSA to go ahead and complete the claim. Right. And so this whole area right here is just kind of wait time until you get to this person where you're going to be starting to, collect the rest of the evidence, go to their doctors, answer some questions, do updated DDS forms, 3369, 3373, supplemental pain, supplemental anxiety, supplemental headache questionnaires, and then, talk about an alleged onset date amendment, and then boom, decision. That's where you're at with that. So basically you are, I would say, probably 3 to 4 months right there from having a decision. But that all depends on how quickly you go to the CEs or whether or not they need you to go to CEs. And CEs are, of course, consultative examination medical expert appointments. Cool. Jim Tillapaw. That's such a cool ass name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, so you have to let me know. But Tillapaw, Jim Tillapaw. Oh, that's a good name. Thank you for the $4.99 donation. Absolutely love the little fox. Oh, that's so cool. Love little paint fox. That's awesome. I love that last name. Like if I ever had a film. Like Tillapaw. You could imagine who would be the character in a film with the last name Tillapaw? Mr. Tillapaw. That's such a good name. Oh, that's such a good name. So with that said, cool. Very cool. I'm pronouncing it correctly. So here's the deal. With this, just so you guys understand, they are increasing the amount of wait time on their website, but it's very misleading because it doesn't take 6.5 to 7.5 months to get a decision, rolling for most of these. Now, in some areas, it only takes 12 months, right? The less populated, less wow, there's a lot of stuff going on. Central Florida, it's taking 17 months right now because it's super overloaded, right? It's just way overloaded. But some more desolate areas, there's just not much going on, right? In those areas, a lot of them, I've seen it down to 9 months, I've seen it to 12 months, etc. But what's also happening is the SSA is grabbing employees from different branches and moving them into lower branches or different branches to go ahead and process claims more quickly. I've even talked with some of the appeals council people who were grabbed from appeals council and then put into basically DDS to go ahead and continue to process those claims, which is always interesting because those appeals council people, they're bright, they're quick, they're good. So they're snippy dude ready to roll. And the interesting thing is that you get some of those individuals that basically assisted the judges with the presentation of what arguments were going to be chosen for the AAJs. So when I get on the phone with them, I get to run things back and forth at a super high level that normally I just wouldn't get to do. Because, the bottom line is that the DDS reps aren't traditionally trained in the letter of the law or the details. So they're trained on mini forms and, they have search phrases and they check off boxes and stuff like that. But it's not at the level of the appeals council people that were brought down to go ahead and work DDS during the Commissioner Kijikazi period, it's just was really interesting moment when I realized I was I got a person like me over there. That's all. Let's do this. So yeah, but cameraman, thank you for the $2 donation. Love the little fox. It's awesome. Wow, Denise Ware. Very cool. Love the little hippo. Reminds me of Sweetie. But Denise Ware, thank you for the $9.99 donation. That's absolutely awesome. And Shirley, ice cream, very cool. I am thinking ice cream. 99-cent donation. Thank you. That's awesome. Very, very cool. So with that said, I've now kind of completed this letter. You now understand that it's not realistic. 230 days isn't an accurate representation of filing for disability benefits. It's more so a situation of, basically, just to clarify, a longer period, but there are a lot of things that throw that number off to be faster, such as people who get technical denials, people who are about to reach retirement age, kind of approaching a retirement age area that are quick grid outs, people that meet compassion allowance listings, things like that. All right. Now, I will be doing a total of 3 videos today. This is number 1 video of the 3 videos. Please remember to like and subscribe. Please remember to click on Google if you get a chance, and go to Google and type in Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida. And it's the law firm I work for. I represent a bunch of disability claimants, but this is where I go. This is the firm. If you could throw some stars up there, I always appreciate them. I will catch you guys a little bit later. And the next video, just so you know, let me pull it up real quick. It's actually on a really interesting topic. The next video is specifically on which group is hunted the most by the CDI units of the SSA. Which group is hunted the most? Essentially, which SSA, secret police via OIG, Office of Inspector General, are hunted the most as a result of basically, OIG going and searching through documents, showing up at people's houses, etc. So I think people might enjoy that one to know. Anyways, I will catch you a little bit later. I will see you at the next video. Give me about 5 to 10 minutes. I just have to check on Sweetie, see how she's doing, because she's post-op, and we will go from there. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.